We will be recording this and we'll share this with you after the webinar is complete. For the next 2 weeks, Hospitality Health will be sponsoring our webinar industry updates. The American Rescue Plan of 2021 provides greater access to lower premiums and financial assistance. So through the PRLA, your part-time and full-time team members can now get affordable personal health insurance for themselves and their families with no employer participation or contribution. Through this service, your employees can speak directly to licensed agents, receive quotes, access qualifying federal subsidiaries, enroll in medical, dental, vision, life, disability, and Medicare coverage, and also obtain non-English translation assistance. So we invite your team members who are not eligible for employer-sponsored group insurance to visit our website, prla.org/healthcare for more information. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to John Longstreet to kick us off.
Thanks very much, Hope. Good morning, everyone. And as a reminder, today's webinar is for the use of our restaurants, hotels, travel and tourism partners, and other friends of PRLA. It's off the record. It's not a press event. If you are with the press and would like to talk with us about anything, just give us a call. But please disconnect at this time, again, if you're with the press. As you might be able to tell, I'm coming to you from a different location today. I happen to be at a meeting of the Council of State Restaurant Associations in Providence, Rhode Island, so I'm not going to be able to stay with you throughout the session today, but I did want to break away from my meeting for a moment to bring to you some important news that isn't news to everyone, but might be news to some of you, and let you know my thoughts on it. This is truly a good news, bad news announcement. It's bad news for PRLA and all of our friends at PRLA, but it's great news for Melissa Bova, and that's the most important part of it. Melissa has, after 10 years, being truly the voice of the industry in Harrisburg and Washington for Pennsylvania restaurants, hotels, and travel and tourism, Melissa has decided to accept an excellent opportunity in Washington to represent a national association and in particular their state affairs. I don't have to tell you how good Melissa is. I still believe she's the best lobbyist in the state, and most of the other state restaurant associations think she's the best among all the restaurant associations. And she's earned that throughout the years, and no time more so than the last 18 months. These 18 months have been really challenging for all of you and for our entire industry. And I will say that resting on her shoulders, those of Melissa Bova, was the responsibility to try to do everything we can to help get you to the other side. And so you can imagine that that's a weight that we all carried at PRLA. And I'm so glad at this point in time that Melissa's going to have an opportunity to move on to something that not only will be great for her career, but also be a great life move for her, in my opinion. So I'm very sad about this, having worked with Melissa for 8 years, but my sadness is far overcome with my happiness and joy for her. If anyone deserves a great opportunity right now, it's Melissa Bova. So if you can follow that, Melissa, I'm going to turn it over to you. And thank you all again for tuning in. And thank you, Melissa, for your tremendous dedication to our wonderful industry.
I've been doing so well, and I still cry about it. I think I'm going to turn it over. We are going to begin with a guest speaker while I compose myself. And our guest speaker, I'll introduce. I know Hope was going to do it, but we're really excited to have Carrie Fisher-Lepore on the call today. I actually spent today was the beginning of the Pennsylvania Tourism Summit. So it's the coming together of all of our destination marketing organizations. And Carrie and I got to spend an hour this morning answering questions and having so much fun. And they all made me cry at that. So thanks, John. I thought I had myself composed again, and I've started crying again. So, but really excited to have Carrie with us today to talk about some of the initiatives the administration is taking and moving forward with to encourage vaccinations, to encourage responsible behavior from our citizens, to try and get us through whatever COVID's future brings us, whatever variants are in our future. And it's an initiative that Carrie is heading. So we wanted to give an opportunity for her to provide an update and let those of you that want to get more engaged in terms of vaccination and pushing vaccines and responsible behavior, the tools that the administration has for you. So I'm going to turn it over to Carrie. and then we're going to go through my update, and I am going to do my best not to cry again. So Carrie, take it away.
Melissa, I just fixed my eye makeup from the waterworks earlier at the tourism summit. So I'm not even going to go there anymore because I'm all cried out with your news, but I am so incredibly happy for you. Hi, everyone. As Melissa said, I'm Carrie Fisher-Lepore, Deputy Secretary of Marketing, Tourism, and Film at the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development. I am so thrilled and lucky to know many of you on the call already. I am here to speak with you today, not necessarily about tourism or even economic or community development marketing, but about the vaccine outreach campaign for the state of Pennsylvania. Earlier this summer, I was asked to help spearhead some of the outreach efforts around the paid media campaign for vaccinations. And this is really because in my day-to-day world, I'm always communicating with consumers, unlike many state agencies. And also my team and I led the Census 2020 outreach, and really getting out the count is very, very similar to getting out the vaccine. So it really made sense for us to continue with all of the best practices, or I should say, take all of the best practices we learned throughout Census and apply it to vaccination. I'm really thrilled to say that as of yesterday, over 70% of eligible adults 18 and older in Pennsylvania have received both doses, are fully vaccinated. We still have a long way to go. There are still pockets of the state that are significantly under vaccinated. There are still many hospitals throughout the state that are at capacity. So we are continuing to work and just continuing to bang the beat of the drum to encourage people to go get vaccinated. We realize that in order, and especially sitting where I am with tourism, that we are so reliant upon healthy communities supporting our industry. At TCED, we keep saying that we can't have a healthy economy until we have healthy communities. Unfortunately, the only way we're moving past COVID-19 is through vaccination. And again, we're so thrilled with the support and the numbers that we're seeing out of Pennsylvania, but we know that there's always more that we can do. Our restaurant industry has been significantly impacted, probably more than any other industry in Pennsylvania, and quite frankly, nationwide through the pandemic. So it is makes sense that we're trying to engage with all of you to join our cause, to unite our voices together, to unite Pennsylvania against COVID. So Melissa and John and Hope and the entire PRLA team have been so supportive and have been doing such a bang up job of trying to educate the public on the importance of vaccines to begin with. We're really excited to be working with you to launch Restaurants Unite Against COVID, which of course is a play off of PA Unites Against COVID, which has been the brand platform for the state since summer of 2020. So what we're thinking with Restaurants Unite Against COVID are ways that we can partner together to reach your constituents, to reach your audience, to help educate them about the importance of vaccinations. Because at the end of the day, it's not just a health issue, it's a pocketbook issue. And in order to keep our restaurants open, in order to keep our employees, your employees, safe and healthy, we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to reach folks, to encourage them to talk to their doctor to get the vaccine. Some of the things that we're thinking about working towards are in op-ed with PRLA and the PA Unites Against COVID, explaining why it's so important for the restaurant industry that people continue to do the right thing and get the vaccine, those that can. But some of the other ways that we can work together is providing you with any type of signage that you would be interested in displaying at your restaurants. And I'm sorry that I keep looking at the camera and I'm looking up. Normally I'm coming to you from my office in my house at DCED. We are in the office one day a week. So I have this funny, my laptop sitting in front of my monitor. So again, apologies if I'm not looking right at you, but I'm also looking at my screen. So some of the ideas, the easiest way to get engaged and to help share vaccine facts with your customers is through branded marketing materials that we would love to supply to you at no cost. So we are going to create a nice order form, online order form, where you'll be able to order things like postage and signage, posters and signage for your restaurant that you can hang on community boards or in bathrooms, in back rooms, break rooms, wherever is appropriate. We also were thinking about supplying you with a quarter-page handout and or stickers that you could display at the cash register or include with the check when you present the check to the customer. Simple text that could be printed on a sales receipt, QR codes to find a vaccine near you to add to your paper menus or table tents or your online menu. We are vaccinated buttons for your vaccinated staff. We are vaccinated signage for your windows, flyers with information on local vaccine clinics. We want to work with you to create whatever type of materials you need. And then if you are so interested, we can also connect you with local vaccine providers to run clinics, to provide customized marketing materials. If you do have any type of events that you're attending that are vaccine related, we would love to promote it through our many channels that we have, whether it is through our events calendar. We do a PA Unites weekly newsletter, and we have many other communications tools at our disposal that we really, again, want to help meet people where they are. That's something that we have really been talking a lot about throughout all of our vaccine outreach, and also the importance of partnering with trusted partners, those that have a relationship with the community, and acknowledging the important role that restaurants play within communities, that you have been there for your patrons through many of life's most wonderful celebrations, anniversaries, birthdays, engagements. You've played backdrop to some of our most important life milestones. We really want to make sure that we as a community are there and supporting you guys now, and as you continue to support your patrons. So I just monologued and ran through a lot of different things. I do have like a one-pager that I wish I knew how to attach into the chat. I don't, but I'll be sure to get it to Hope and Melissa, who will be able to share it with you as soon as the call is over. But at this time, does anyone have any questions? Yes, no, maybe so.
Yeah, I'm very trained to use the chat feature, so we'll have to monitor. I'm monitoring the chat to see if anything came in.
You were just so phenomenal, Carrie, that you answered all of the questions before they could even ask. And I will reiterate, like I said, this is not. Oh, here we go. There's a question.
Good. Thank you, Annabelle. When will these materials be available and where? So we thank you. That is a fantastic question, and I appreciate the support. So we are working to stand up in order form right now, as we speak, type of thing. So hopefully next week we'll have something to share with you. If you are interested, we do have something right now, a community resource section at pa.gov/COVID. We have a community resource section that has a lot of materials already created, and we also have them available in over 14 languages. But again, we are working to create some materials that are more specific to the restaurant industry that explicitly state Restaurants Unite Against COVID. Something that I know Melissa is going to want me to point out is that we are not calling out, or thank you, Ben, but we are not singularly focused on restaurants. We just know how important this is to the health of the restaurant industry. And because I do have some good friends at PRLA, we figured this would be a great place to start. But again, this is something that we are going to be extending to other industries as well. We think that, again, we have over 70% of Pennsylvanians 18 and older fully vaccinated. In order to get to the next hump, we really have to be more creative and work with our private industry, our employers, our restaurants. So we will get you information and material, Annabelle, as soon as possible. And thank you for your enthusiasm.
Looks like there's another question on there, Carrie. So is the online registration available to individual operators? How will the materials be delivered? So is there a way for operators to sign up if they're interested in this?
Yeah, so we're going to have an online order form where you'll be able to enter all of your information and where you want the materials, so both quantity of materials and also where you want them delivered. We will work with our printers here in Harrisburg to get it printed and packaged up and in the mail as quickly as possible.
Great, Carrie, thank you. And we'll be sure to share all of this information in the email today when we send it out with the webinar recording, and also in our daily updates next week whenever all the links are ready to go.
Great.
Hope, I am obsessed with the fact that you are Eric Adams today, and it's Eric's face that is there.
Is it? I didn't even know that.
It is fantastic. You look great.
Thank you. Thank you, Carrie, so much.
Yeah, thank you, Carrie, for joining us. As a reminder, as Carrie mentioned, this is not something that restaurants have to do, that the industry has to do, but we know in the last 2 years, more than once we've heard from some of you saying, what can I do? How can I get the word out there more? I think we're out of the mitigation threat that we faced for so long, but we certainly wanted to make these resources available to those of you that really want to articulate it and support it, especially as we're entering a world of boosters and the future vaccines and COVID world. And I think with that, I'm going to jump into my update. And thank you, everyone, for the kind notes. I will get through this, but I will be here through November 10th. I will be at the fall conference, so we'll go over that. But it's a good reason to come out to Pittsburgh and spend some time with me before I move on to my new journey. So with that, there is not a lot updating, not a lot on the federal update, and that is good and bad, as it typically is with federal updates. The Build Back Better plan, which is Joe Biden's attempt to spend $3 trillion with every tax increase as part of it that you could even think of, has kind of stalled within the Senate in terms of support. So that $3 trillion plan has been fluctuating between 1.8 and $1 trillion. They have not come up with a final package. So a lot of you have said, what's going to be in it? And the reason that we can't tell you that is because it's changed. We got a baseline of what 3 trillion would look like in terms of tax increases and how they were going to pay for it. As they're working through it, there hasn't been a lot of discussions, but obviously as the package gets less costly, the impact on businesses in terms of tax increases and other threats becomes less of a risk. One of the big parts that continues to be a threat that we've been cognizant of is the original Build Back Better plan contained an ending of the employee retention tax credit that's supposed to run until the end of the year. They were planning to cut it off a quarter early. The good news of this bill not moving in the immediate future is, as long as it doesn't move in the immediate future, the ERTC stays in place. And we know that that continues to be a very important resource for all of you to tap into, especially since the RRF has not been refunded as of yet. Speaking of RRF, and this continues, like I said, I think we've had a few people that haven't been on these calls in the past. RRF is in limbo, and RRF remains in limbo until they figure out this infrastructure issue. Another part of the Build Back Better plan is that there is nothing COVID related as part of those packages of bills. That's why RRF is not in there. Does it make sense? Probably not. But was it the decision that the president's office and House and Senate majority leaders decided? They decided if we go down a COVID path, when do we shut the door? So they decided this package would not have anything COVID related, which means that RRF will remain our top priority. Essentially, when they figure out how the heck to figure out the Build Back Better plan, that's when we're going to be doing a move to refunding the RRF. We've asked you to do a grassroots blitz. I've mentioned before, we're sending a letter to our congressional delegation. We will be having a press event in Philadelphia on October 28th to draw attention to the fact that summer is ending. It's certainly starting to feel, maybe not so much today, it doesn't feel so fall, but winter is coming for my Game of Thrones fans, and outdoor seating is going to go away and people aren't going to be going out like they used to, which makes the refunding of RRF that much more important. So we will be doing a big push in the coming weeks to get our congressional delegation on board. As we've said before, we don't care where you get the money, how you get the money, but restaurants are not through this. They're not going to get through this in the next 6 months, next year. They need the support from the RRF. So please stay engaged as we work through that, and we ask you to engage in our advocacy efforts on that front. Not much of a change. We thought last week that we would get the guidance from OSHA and the Department of Labor as it pertains to the vaccine and testing mandate. That has not come out yet. And I think that is, Bob already asked that. That has been sent to the Office of the Budget or Managing Budget, whatever it is within the President's office to review that. We actually thought it was going to be released on Friday. It has not been released yet. But please stay tuned. Once we get that, I think it could be this week. I think it almost has to be this week. But the basics of that remain the same. It will be effective for 6 months. They will not be taking comment. It is an emergency regulation, so they don't have to take comment. So this will stay in place for 6 months after it is posted and takes effect. This is not going to take effect immediately. So keep in mind, this is not going to be they release it on Friday and surprise OSHA shows up at your door to make sure that you're following these requirements. They are going to have a ramp up. We expect that. I try to put on this terrifying hat that can be, if I were the government, how much would I give? I feel like it probably needs to be 4 to 6 weeks. But all of that and all of those unanswered questions that you all have are expected to be in this guidance of what is the definition of vaccinated? Does it include boosters? Who's paying for testing if they're not being vaccinated? All of those questions we don't know the answer to yet, and we expect it to be in that guidance. So as soon as that is released, our national associations will be having webinars, PRLA will be having webinars. We will deep dive into all of that for those of you that are that 100 employee or more threshold. I know we've gotten a few questions from people that said, why is it 100 employees or more? And my response was, heck if I know. It does feel like they kind of threw everything in a hat and pulled out a number and it was 100, especially because we've seen variances of 50 to 500 depending on what federal law is applicable. But that's where we are right now. We certainly don't believe that it should be spread to all businesses. We don't think 100 should be the threshold at all, but it's certainly something that we'll be continuing to advocate for and working through once we get that guidance. So state of the legislature, the Senate was in session this week. Not too many exciting things that are happening. They're still kind of working through some of those we like to refer as sometimes controversial items through the legislature as it pertains to elections, vaccinations, masking requirements. We're working on redistricting right now, so they're continuing to work through that over the next few weeks. One of the items that you have recently been getting an updated grassroots action, and I think Ben just put it in the chat. We are taking another crack at House Bill 1154, sponsored by Representative Kurt Mosser. We got this close in June, but the bill did not get across the finish line in the Senate. We think that with actions from the legislature as it pertains to extending waivers, with everyone saying the right thing that they want to support and help restaurants, this is a common sense bipartisan piece of legislation that will help many of you going into the winter months. So we think that it's worthy of pushing that and asking for the Senate to move that. It is in the hands of the Senate Republicans to move that. We're doing a few items on our end. I believe as of yesterday, I was told we have an op-ed that's going to be placed in 2 different papers, at least as of right now, across the state to draw some attention to moving this bill. If a story hasn't come out yet, we have a few stories that are going to be coming out within the state as well, just to kind of draw attention to the fact that this is a bipartisan measure. It's reasonable. I think when we entered all of this, we basically said, what recovery items does this industry need that we know the governor will sign? We all took it to the chin when we did our reopening bill, and the governor vetoed it, and we couldn't override that veto. So we really thought internally, what will the governor sign? This is a bill that he has said he will sign as long as it doesn't contain canned cocktails as part of that. So we are making another push to try and get that through the Senate. And of course, we have updated our action alert, and we're urging you to please reach out to your legislator, your senator specifically, about the importance of moving this bill. The Senate could send it to the governor in a day if they wanted to. So it's really important that we continue to advocate for that. And because I always troll whoever's on the webinars, our prime sponsor of the bill, Representative Mosser, is on the webinar today. He has been the staunchest advocate for our industry, not only because it's the right thing to do, because he is a restaurant operator himself. So I want to see Representative Mosser, did you want to provide any updates or color or guidance to our members as we try and make one more push to get your legislation across the finish line?
No, Melissa, I think you covered it well. I think it's just so important that we reach out, and you said it well. Let's put another push on here. I'm sorry, I'm going to have to jump off and miss the rest of this call, but I just wanted to jump in. And I'm going to really miss you, Melissa. I'll tell you what, on that hill, you were the one I wanted to fight with, go to war with, with you up by my side. So we're going to miss you. But before you leave, let's get this one done.
Absolutely. Thank you. I am saying that when I talk to people, I'm like, this is an easy box to check, and this would be a really great goodbye gift for me to ride off into the sunset. So please do whatever you can to push this. This is the time to get it done. And then, of course, as I mentioned at the beginning, for the first time in 2.5 years, all the destination marketing organizations in Pennsylvania are coming together at our tourism summit to talk about the importance of tourism, and also how important tourism is going to be to our recovery within the Commonwealth as it pertains to COVID, but even forever. Tourism is the second largest industry in Pennsylvania, and for many years, it really hasn't gotten the support that it deserves. So we are moving forward with legislation, as I mentioned in the past, a package of bills to really put behind tourism in Pennsylvania. If tourism thrives, our entire industry thrives. Hospitality, our restaurants, our hotels, our attractions all thrive on tourism. So we're really excited to have that group in Harrisburg today, meeting over a 2-day conference. Like I said, Carrie and I kicked them off today, so they're off to a great start in my personal opinion. So please stay tuned as we move forward with those initiatives as well. I think next slide. Mitigation, cases are going down. Hospitalizations are still a little tricky, but cases are going down. We are seeing, the Delta variant move on. But of course, we are very cognizant and keeping an eye out on future variants and other issues and threats to the industry, but we are not hearing or talking about any other mitigation right now moving forward. And then with that, as you all know, because there are a number of you on this call that don't always join my webinars every week, this is my last PRLA webinar, my last now bi-weekly webinar, and beginning on November 3rd, Zach Pizek, PRLA's Director of Government Affairs, is somehow going to figure out a way to channel my wit and genius and lead these webinars moving forward. So with that, I want to ask Zach to provide a quick update on what's going on in Philadelphia, and then we'll go through a few last-minute housekeeping items.
Thanks, Melissa, and good morning, everybody. I just want to say publicly, congratulations, Melissa. Very happy for you. And I want to say, too, thank you for your guidance and your mentorship the last 6 or 7 months. You've taught me so much in such a short period of time, and I really appreciate that. Thank you for that. And again, good morning, everybody. I'm really happy to be here. A quick update here in Philadelphia. I'm going to jump out of order a little bit. I start with outdoor seating. Councilmember Alan Dom has introduced 2 bills that would make outdoor seating permanent in Philadelphia. One of the bills addresses streeteries. One of the bills addresses sidewalk cafes. Councilmember Dom and his office, they have worked closely with the PRLA, restaurants and bars throughout the city, dozens of other stakeholders like our public utility companies, to craft what we believe is very comprehensive and thorough legislation that provides a practical solution to continuing Philadelphia's outdoor dining scene. The legislation addresses safety, traffic, and other concerns for residents in the city. These bills were developed in close coordination with other stakeholders in the city. It has just recently been assigned to the street committee Both bills, again, would make outdoor seating permanent citywide. And so there would no longer, as it's written now, there would no longer be a need to get a permit for a city cafe, no more legislation needed for the process. Both bills would create a new outdoor dining license. The administration would be done through L&I. They would also be the ones setting the regulations for enforcement. There would be a new public notification standard. They would have to post public notice in advance, and they would establish a process for revoking a license and a fine system. There would be a new license fee. As it's written now, I believe it's $200. And just recently, PRLA launched a call to action. And we need your help keeping pressure on council and making sure our electeds in Philadelphia know how important this issue is to our membership. And so we could throw that call to action link in the chat. If you're in Philadelphia and you haven't reached out to council, please consider doing so. We could use your help to get this one across the finish line. Other exciting items happening in Philadelphia, this time regarding third-party delivery fees. As many of you know, delivery commissions as of now are currently capped at 10%, and marketing services are capped at 5%. All of this, though, is tied to the public health emergency, which has not ended yet in Philadelphia. And so there's been an appetite from some on council to make this cap permanent. PRLA has been working closely with Council Member Sherelle Parker, who recently introduced a bill to do so. There will likely be a hearing on this legislation towards the end of the month, but this is legislation that would make this cap permanent. We're continuing to work with Council Member Parker and other stakeholders on this legislation, and we will keep all of you updated as we work through that process. So that's pretty much the update in Philadelphia. Exciting things happening. We will throw that call to action link in the chat if it hasn't been already, and just really happy to be here. Nice to see everybody. And congratulations again, Melissa. Thank you for everything, and looking forward to asking you a million other questions the next month or so.
Zach sends me a lot of emails, and I whenever I introduce Zach now, he said Zach's the guy with that look of panic on his face, but he's doing a great job, and he's gonna do very well for all of you moving forward. I think we are going. What's next, Hope? Do you want to go over events, and then I can push the summit one more time after you're done?
Yeah, I'll go over the events and then I'll throw it back to you for the summit. Oh, you mean for the annual meeting? Whatever. As Melissa said, the PA Tourism Summit is going on today in Harrisburg, today and tomorrow. We're very excited to have the DMOs here, and I know they're very excited to be together. Some great sessions going on. To cap that off in November, we're going to be having our PRLA annual conference. So we will be having our committees meeting, and we'll be having our awards gala that night. And then the next day we'll have some more meetings and some great speakers. I'm going to let Melissa talk about that, and Melissa will be at that meeting. So if you want to see her in person, you could go to that meeting. We'd love to see you out in Pittsburgh. Chapter events, we are having some Zoom meetings, some panels going on, and another fundraiser that the Bucksmont chapter is doing. It's a 5K, and this will be supporting our educational foundation efforts also. So we're looking forward to seeing runners get out there and help us out with raising some funds. And stop moving. Okay. And then next week, I'm sorry, in November, we will be coming back with our industry update. And as Melissa said, Zach will be taking over the reins and we'll be presenting to you the industry update. But on the 17th, we will be having a special guest from Teladoc Health joining us, Nicholas Gates. He's going to be talking about the services provided by Teladoc and what the virtual services your employees can take advantage of through these services. So please check us out in November for updates on what's going on with the industry and also with Teladoc's great update to us. That I'm going to turn this over to you to just do a quick update on what's going on with the tourism since you were just there today and then the annual meeting.
Yeah, so I mentioned the Tourism Summit is ongoing. So if you're on this webinar, you're probably not at the Tourism Summit. But if you are not at the Tourism Summit, you're missing a truly phenomenal conference. It's really cool, everything that's going on at the Hilton right now. Let's go to the awards gala, because as Hope mentioned, when I got this new job opportunity, I had said, well, I didn't say sure, I made them work for it. But essentially I said, I can't leave before the annual gala. I need to be at the fall conference. So this is coming up November 8th and 9th. You can see all of the committee meetings and all of the events that are going to be there. Because this is our first meeting in person since 2019, the $250 cost for the entire event is only $125 now. That is inclusive of the dinner, that's inclusive of all of the sessions, that's inclusive of all your meals. The only thing it does not include is the 365 Club reception, which is the after hours reception on Monday night. Those are for my PAC contributors who've contributed $365 over the course of the year. We are this close to hitting our $50,000 goal for PAC. So please, if you have not been able to support the PAC and you're like, golly gee, I can't go out for a drink with Melissa before she leaves, another great way to say goodbye is if you can make any type of support, contribution, or support to our political action committee, so I can leave Zach and the rest of the team ready to rock going into 2022. So please, if you have not registered to attend the fall conference, please consider coming. And I do believe, because Zach is maximizing my last few weeks here, I will be in Philadelphia on November 3rd. So for my Philadelphia friends, if you are in town, stay tuned for a potential event there, or just get together for a drink and we can just toast that we all got through the last 2 years before my last day at PRLA, which will be November 10th. And I think all of the education is up to you, Hope, or Eric, as you are right now.
As I channel Eric, I will go over this. As always, we have our food certification classes going on across the state. So please take note of the classes coming up in your area and make sure that you're keeping your staff and yourself up to date on your food certifications. They will be coming out. They are not giving people breaks at this time. And actually at the policy meeting, we will be having Allegheny County Health Department there to talk a little bit about the future of what's going on with the health department and certifications and food safety in the city of Pittsburgh or in Allegheny County. As always, I stress for you to reach out to your schools and your local post-secondary and secondary programs to help provide some experiences and connect with their students to help with promoting them into your restaurants. We're trying to keep the industry strong and keep our pipeline of students that are coming out strong. So please, if you have time, lend your hand into a classroom. With that, I think we're on to questions here. I think we've answered a lot of them though.
I will unmute myself. Let's see. So we have all of the links in the world. So everything we want you to do, there's a link for all of it in the chat. I am absolutely all in for free margaritas. I will never say no to a margarita or a martini or Manhattan or wine or some beers. So just let me know. But thank you. You've all sent me some really awesome, sweet messages. And like I said, last week, we had to wait a week to announce it because I was crying the entire week. So I'm getting a little better, but you still make me want to cry all the time. So Pittsburgh's going to be a mess. Links for all of that. Let's see. Zach, do you want to answer the question of is the hearing date set for Councilman Dom's outdoor dining bills?
We do not have an official date set for a hearing yet, I believe, but I double checking on that, but we are aiming for early November. So we will keep you posted as we continue to work through that.
Okay. And I think that you did include, Zach, nod your head if you included a link to the streetery legislation. Okay, so Allison has that for Pittsburgh. And then November 3rd, I think we're still scheduling, but we're looking to have an event with City Council in November to basically show them outdoor seating and say, hey, look how good this works. You know, now you're seeing it in person, have a drink. I think that's the basic intent, but more details it's still being finalized, and more details will come out on that front. And I think you guys are taking it easy on my last webinar. This is a great gift. And like I said, I will be around. I look forward to seeing you all in Pittsburgh, and I'm going to start crying again. But thank you all for like 10 years. It's been awesome, and it's going to be hard to leave, but you guys made it hard to leave. So thank you.
Okay, you can turn your camera off. Thank you everybody for joining us today. As always, I'll be getting this recording out to you later on today. I will be sending you links from what Carrie was speaking about and the one pager. And any of these updates where we were looking for where events are going on and hearing dates, we'll be sure to provide in our daily update that comes out at the end of the day. And with that, we are signing off. Thank you so much for joining us today. Everybody have a great day.